Good morning. I'm pleased to introduce Dr. David Wolf. Dr. Wolf is an astronaut, entrepreneur, inventor, consultant, educator, and former NASA astronaut. He is president and chief medical officer of Spectron Systems, which is a small pharma company employing revolutionary methods to enhance directed molecular design. Dr. Wolf is also president and CEO of Earth Tomorrow Incorporated, consulting, speaking, and engineering. Dr. Wolf is also professor of aerospace engineering at Purdue University, visiting scientist and residence. Dr. Wolf has served as a senior flight surgeon, astronaut, and mission-ready airborne weapons delivery officer in F-4 Phantom jets for the Indiana National Guard. Today he'll present a talk titled No Truce at 5 o'clock. Please silence your electronic devices, but don't put them away. We want to see you tweeting to the hashtag Dawn or Doom. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Wolf.
Thanks. Very nice. Thank you very much. But first, we have Sam and the Astronaut Scholarship Foundation, Nicole, and Sam is a remarkable young man. Please come up here to accept your scholarship award. He's out of state, but he did have the sense to come to Purdue. Nobody's perfect. And you came to Purdue, and he's a senior and under Dr. Collicot's and other tutelage here, and he's just done some remarkable things in turbulent flow and sound suppression and hypersonic flow and very nonlinear turbulent things that are hard, basically. As a senior, things that I wouldn't even have dreamed of doing here as a senior, and wonderful for you, and you've won a wonderful award. You probably want to say something about that award. Anyone else, or is it just me? Okay. Well, the award is one Purdue student a year, I believe, and it's $10,000, which puts a pretty good dent in his out-of-state tuition. Tell me, does an in-state person get the same amount? Wow. Right. Well, come from Indiana next time. Ed, one thing that's very important you'll find in life is the ability to speak on the moment. Tell us something. What did you love about this place? You got your senior year yet to go. What do you want to do? Tell us something.
Yeah, well, you know what? It started before my freshman year when I came and visited here with my family. A now professor of mine, Dr. Collicott, took like a half hour just to talk to me about low gravity fluid mechanics and the low gravity flight experiments. And that sold Purdue for me. And so I chose to come here, and it's really the professors and the academic environment that has really meant a lot so far, and I'm in his class now. So.
Awesome. Okay, good. Are you satisfied? Did we do it? I got to give you the award, the check. Where is it? This is it? Oh, there it is. A huge check, literally. You can see the amount on there. That's got to excite you. You're going to make more than that. Something shaking hands. Here, we'll shake hands across this check. There you go. We got to come somewhere over here? It's like doing a spacewalk, holding a big object.
All right, Dr. Wolf, back a little. Yeah.
Except there's gravity one.
All right, big smile, guys. This is for the web or something. All right. Shake hands once more. Talk to each other.
Talking, testing. Earth to Sam. How are you, Sam?
I'm good, Dr. Wolf. Thank you.
Did we talk? Okay. What is this exactly? You keep pulling things out. Presented in recognition of excellent academic achievement to Samuel Otto, Purdue University Astronaut Scholarship Foundation, which is from Kennedy Space Station Center in Florida. So it's a NASA or related organization. It does a nice job for a lot of young people. I know, obviously, I've worked with you before. You know the day you find you need glasses? You finally can't read anything? This is the day.
Both you look here once more.
Thank you. Is that Jocelyn? That's what I thought. You look different this morning. You look wonderful. Don't get me wrong. I'm completely wrong. I had dinner with her last night at Westwood. Sam, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll talk with you more. Congratulations. Now, Jocelyn over here is one of our own Purdue students, that PhD student. Stand up, wave. And do you guys know? She spoke at 9 this morning, and I was in class. Actually, I had to give a class in a sense, but after eating breakfast with Sam. But do you know what she did? You do. Everyone knows. It's common knowledge. She just told you. I don't know if you were here or not. Well, just to make sure everyone knows, she did 8 months in a Martian simulated colony in Hawaii. I've never even been to Hawaii on the Earth. I've seen it like 5,000 times, but I've never been there on Earth. But say that about a lot of places, especially the highly inclined areas. But we were talking last night. I'm blowing the whole order of this thing. We were talking last night at dinner. We happened to be at the same table, and she said, "Wow, Dave, that must have been hard, the long duration space flight." I did a 5-month flight. One of the flights, I've done 4 flights. And I go, "Well, it's really, Jocelyn, am I saying that right, Jocelyn?" I said, "Do you remember what I said, if I get this right?" I vaguely remember.
Well, you said that the mistakes that we make are almost harder because we have to live with them.
Oh, yeah, when you screw up in space, it only hurts for a moment. You make a mistake down here, you're going to live with it a long time. And actually, that takes us to our theme, this whole dawn or doom thing, because these are the kind of decisions we have to make here are going to live with us for a long time. This isn't the stuff that hurts for a moment and you get past it. I do have some notes. And then we're going to get to this movie. But we have this nagging feeling. I hate these. I've never even done it before. We have this nagging feeling that there's something wrong. And I think everybody kind of does, even the principals of elementary schools in middle Indiana and such. You know, you're getting rear-ended by texters, 4-year-olds on computers. Checking Landon over there. Landon is on a computer. Are you on a computer? No? Oh, you're on a pencil. That's good. I hear they don't teach cursive writing these days. Is that true? I can't even believe it. I was worried that I couldn't write so good anymore because I use computers so much. And now I realize I'm ahead. Falling ahead of the new kids. That finally I'm ahead of the new kids in something. You know, people are at the table texting. We got a nagging sense. There's something at issue here, something going wrong. And I will tell you, and Jocelyn will tell you, that life on a spacecraft is tenuous. You're kind of on the edge. It doesn't take much to go wrong to cascade and propagate into big problems. And I've seen some of those, and some I shudder to look back at, although I will say at the time, they didn't even make me nervous, which is hard to believe looking back. But you know, I've had airlock failures, trapped outside in a Russian spacesuit, no communications, never to come back in, literally no airlock going to work ever. In the last minutes, doing a ditch into a separate evacuated module, off the checklist totally. Total power failure of spacecraft. You don't know quiet till you've been in a spacecraft with no power. It's really, really quiet. Navigation computer failure with total attitude control loss, in which you quickly lose your solar array capabilities because you can't point. You lose your thermal radiator capabilities. You can't point to deep space, radiate your heat. Everything starts overheating, and power goes away, and then everything quits overheating, and you get in big trouble. Life support system failures of multiple kinds, spacesuit failures. My partner out there was I've done 7 spacewalks to build the space station, and the last thing I say to every spacewalker partner is the only thing we know is not going to happen is Plan A, and it never has. And Jocelyn, did Plan A ever work on high seas? High seas is the name of your deal.
We couldn't predict the weather, but our life support systems wouldn't fail if we lost power.
It didn't fail if you lost power? Ours go really bad really quick without power. There's some stoichiometric equation. We actually make all our oxygen out of our urine, and it works. We get about the right amount if you convert it. But the machine is so cantankerous So there's some mass balance going on there. Already said that. Boy, I might have said the whole thing. So the weeks were coming up toward this talk, and, well, we're not doing too bad here. Okay, so the weeks are coming up toward this talk, and I'm wondering about Dawn or Doom. And I'm kind of trying to decide what to say about it and what's relevant, and it becomes an intriguing topic once you delve into it. And so I put out a note to several highly respected groups, circles, some of which were here at Purdue. And it went something like this. There are various versions of this. It said, dear, these 8 or 10 professors here at Purdue that I might work with, some of the deans, I put it out to the deans here and some other circles like that. And I go, I have not been I'm giving this talk at Dawn or Doom, and finally it's come. I've not been able to ascertain as to if we are, in fact, headed for Dawn or Doom. As this answer must be well understood in your circles, please advise me as to the consensus. And I did get some answers and some themes out of that were helpful in this whole deal. Sundeep, are you here? You said you might come. Oh, there you are. I didn't even see you there. It's the glasses thing. Now I can't see far. I can't see close. I don't even know where I can see. He's the head of IT here. Is that exactly what you are?
My boss.
Your boss is the head of IT. Well, you're big in IT. You're the guy I call when I have problems. But Windows 8, boy, oh boy, it took me a year to get right. Really, a year to get that thing working? How come they have the default settings be like that? Why can't they take the default settings I have now and just sell it that way? But that's one of the things this world's going crazy with. But Sundeep answered, and he said, we've always lived at the cusp of Dawn or Doom. And when you think back, even the dinosaurs, they went toward doom, and probably the Cretaceous periods, all that stuff. So that was an interesting point. But the pace of change is way different now. It used to be, the fire was invented, and 1,000,000 years later, 100,000 years later, the wheel's invented, and 100,000 years later, running water. And now I hear that this may be a wrong statistic, so please help me with any of this, that a guy entering freshman year of college now, like 50% or more, the job they will enter eventually hasn't even been created and doesn't have a name yet. Something like that. That's how fast things are changing. My great-grandfather opened the first car lot in Indiana called Used Horseless Carriages. And my dad worked there. I actually worked there in high school. And that's 4 generations standing there. One died pretty early, but the job didn't change. And now we've got, you start college and the job's being created by the time you end. It's changing so fast and all. The parents could, these were some of the stuff people said, the parents could understand everything. Eric Naumann, Eric, are you here by chance? Dr. Naumann, he's one of the professors here in bioengineering, just awesome guy. And now you can't understand what your kids are doing, or young people, you get the idea there. He was also concerned that we need to sustain our ability to make and deploy our own technology. The stuff getting offshore, we could lose the ability to do our own work in the quantities. People said that a global Gandhi on the good side or a Hitler on the bad side could tip this equation unstably either way, and it could run away good or bad, this Dawn or Doom thing. We're kind of on this unstable razor edge on the top of the slope, and we're not sure which way we're going to fall yet. And I kind of look at it in a term, I'll call it the entropy theory of Dawn or Doom. I'm creating that right now. The entropy theory of Dawn or Doom. And what it means is there's more ways for this to go wrong than there are for it to go right. And left to just raw odds and freewheeling activity, this won't be gotten right. How to handle technology. I think we all know what we're talking about. It's largely in your area, Sundeep. So it's going to take some active intervention to get things right. It's probably 1 billion to 1 that you shake the jigsaw puzzle out and throw it on the ground and it makes a picture. It would be about the odds of it coming out right. So we've got this rickety web of dependencies. If we lose the power grid, if we lose the communication systems, you can think through the scenarios. They're not pretty. We're so rickety in this interdependency. And I thought this one was particularly insightful, that the changes that are happening are so fast that we aren't having time to see the results on the effects of people like Landon in time to make the change. That's the definition of an unstable control system, right? When the feedback loop is not intact. And we can't, it's now, the situation is such that by the time we know what we're doing to you, young man, and you're going to be careful about, you'll be well balanced and you won't be one of these, because the best are better than ever, and this is part of the paradox going on here. We'll get to that in a moment, and then we'll get to the movie. But it's changing so fast that we aren't getting a good feedback to what we're doing in time to make the change. So it's done and gone in the dust runway behind you. Can't react rationally. We're like those colorful fish in the little pond that is exactly the same temperature for hundreds of years, and they're beautiful, and they live a perfect life, and the temperature changes by 1 degree, and it all dies, and the carp are left, and they do great. We're kind of in that delicate situation, and when you look at it, it makes sense, because when you look at the Earth from space, it is a spacecraft, and it's the same delicate pendulum that spacecraft depends on, just a big spacecraft, but it doesn't look as big from space. So we have this nagging feeling there's something wrong, that there's unintended consequences happening that are poorly predictable. I'm sorry I'm going to say this, but you agree or disagree, feel free, you guys in IT. But the promise of computers really, I mean, you're doing your best and they're doing pretty good, but the computers were supposed to do the mundane and let the humans do the esoteric. And I have a feeling that we're somewhere on the path there, because we're pretty buried in the mundane taking care of these machines. It's created whole careers, but even for us that aren't in the career, we get spending awful lot of time in the mundane, keeping passwords and getting all your default settings right. It's a mess. Ed, for you too? I think everybody, blah, 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 blah. Please. What?
I would say not at all compared to the alternative. I'd say the modern interface to a computer is exceptionally convenient.
Oh, compared to prior interfaces like CPM or Compass assembly language.
You complain about having to keep all your passwords. I mean, keeping all your passwords in here is a lot better than notepads strung around like in the 60s.
I love the dissenting opinion. We elicit that. And I will challenge you, young man, that before I ever had a computer to even keep a password about, that it was a little easier to sit and lick stamps and to pay my bills once a month than it was to maintain a whole computer system and backups and mess with the whole thing.
I set that up automatically. I don't pay bills manually. All automatic.
So you get the idea. He is so far ahead of us, I can't even be there, and I've done computers since before he was born. I was writing assembly code in the bottom of the library here on a CDC 65,000, right, with punch cards, and now I can't keep up with this kid. That was 45 years ago. Can you believe what's going on here? Keep jumping in. This is what we need. And the best are better than ever. And we see it at NASA, and we see it with the interns that come from Purdue, and we see it with the Jocelyn's and the Sams of the world. The best are doing great. We'll find out about you yet to find out how great you do. But pretty high expectations. But the problem isn't the best. They know how to temper all this and how to put it in its place. And they've perhaps been taught right, whatever the factors are. But if on average, I think we have a sense we got a problem. And almost everybody I've talked to believes that. There's an insidious stratification. Most of the people are kind of falling behind. And the kind of problems I get, in fact, is, I sure hope I turn 2 pages. Oh, great. So, adaptability is power. I talked to a teacher at Mackinac High School in northern Indiana. It's east of here, straight north of Kokomo, a couple weeks ago at an elementary school. And she says, our kids, they need immediate gratification, their attention span is going down, interpersonal skills are going down, there's a computer addiction effectively. There's issues going on. Now, we can bracket the problem. These kids are not overtly psychotic. They're not hearing voices out of radios telling them stuff to do, at least yet. And so we can kind of bracket the problem. But I wonder about other things. As we just had an example here. What's your name? I need to call you by name.
My name's Max.
Max. Are you a student here?
I am, yes.
Excellent. Can I ask what year, what you're studying?
I'm a second-year master's student in aeronautics and astronautics. I work on Mars entry, descent, and landing systems.
So you can see the best are better than ever. And a lot of them do come from Purdue. Where, are you from Indiana?
I'm not. I'm from Colorado originally.
Okay, nobody's perfect. We'll get there.
I'm sorry. Who's better skiing here?
Maybe they are overly psychotic. In any case, the aging population is a concern to me because I'm an aging population, and believe it or not, you are too. And when is this going to end up being where the basic technologies get out of reach to people as they get older and older? Maybe out of reach younger in their age as the technology gets faster and faster. This is not just getting faster, it's getting faster at an increasing rate. There's a law here that's being busted, that double every so many years law. Moore's law. I think we're outstripping it in this kind of change. Spaceflight's changed a lot too. It used to be very remote. Now it's very communication saturated. I'm not sure what they did in your analog because we have to go to Mars. We have to reverse that trend because of what is the delay roughly? You held that constant through all that's like an average delay?
Yeah,
From,
the worst case, it could be less.
that's a one-way signal delay?
Yeah.
So it's hard to have a conversation.
Oh yeah, it feels more like the letters we send in the mail one way.
So this requires autonomy. And I'm not kidding, I was on the spacecraft, I won't use names, on the International Space Station. And I had done Mir, which was very autonomous, no satellite comm, very rare communications, 10 minutes, 15 minutes twice a day. You'd get everything through. It happened to be in Russian. And then you'd go to work and you'd report in 2 minutes what you did, and they'd tell you, best they could what to do, and you'd talk the next day. Work through it. Very autonomous. Now we get to the ISS. Shuttle was in between, had parts that were very autonomous because it was very tactical and fast. ISS is a little slower paced, and it's very integrated with the ground, the opposite of autonomous activity. And for example, I actually heard this. The call came, you can hear everywhere in the station, all the air-to-ground communications, and I hear one of the astronauts say, the icon on my desktop moved. And it comes back from the mission control, put it back. You talk about granular communications. Now, I'm not teasing them, because most of the stuff's very complex, but it's gotten to the point where they don't even want to break something like that without checking with the ground. It has to go the other way to get to Mars. Back to autonomy, they got to put down the satellite phone. They got to not do the email and the connectivity. I was actually in a meeting in the astronaut office where they were talking about how to use the ISS, International Space Station, to emulate a Mars mission. And what they'd have to do is give up the satellite telephone and the real-time data links and such, video links. And they couldn't do it. The astronauts didn't want to do it. They were so used to this. And I kind of waited till the end because I'm like the grudgy old astronaut, that kind of waits till the end and blows them away. And I said, we already did all that. It was called Mir, and it was called Skylab. And so we're now can't even do what we used to be able to do due to this addiction of computers and computation and communications. We couldn't even build a Saturn V if we wanted to, an Apollo launch vehicle, Saturn V, that for various reasons, it would be an enormous budget. And when we never had done it before, we did it in 8 or 9 years to launch with humans on it. I got to knock this off. We got to watch the video. So in essence, I feel like we're in a transition, kind of a phase change. It's so profound that's going on. It's a step change in evolution. And we're carrying with us the firmware in our brain that was built 100,000 years ago in a completely different environment. Now we're wondering how it's amazing it's adaptable to have gotten this far, and now we're going to challenge it with hundreds of times faster change. Will that firmware hold up? What's it going to do? What are the unexpected results? We know we have these remarkable people. I'm going to include you just on a hunch here, and Sam and Jocelyn and such, the NASA interns. So we know the best are fine, but Abhi, are you here, Deshmukh? He's the Dean of Industrial Engineering. He wrote me back. He said a bunch of stuff, and I had to, but we've done all these complex systems like spacecraft systems and power grids and such, but the hardest part is to account for the human interactions in the system. And we were talking about that at breakfast, and your professor, Dr. Kalikot, who nice enough to join us for breakfast, said the greatest thing. I'm going to get this right. He said, one of the few things that's you do fluid dynamics and turbulent fluid dynamics. He said humans are one of the few things that's more nonlinear than turbulent fluid dynamics. And hard to predict. Is that close?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Feel free to correct me on that.
That was accurate.
Okay. So we got this nagging feeling. I'm going to kind of finish with some words from Pink Floyd, if you don't mind. They really were, weren't they? And tell me if you think this is relevant. Now, this may stretch you a little. Not Delvin. Landon, I just met a bunch of people. Sorry, Landon. Landon, this may stretch you a little, but think a minute. Hang with us here. If we're not, now these are my words at the beginning of it. If we're not careful, what will happen is the following kind of words from Pink Floyd. We may exchange a walk-on part in the war for the lead role in a cage. You see what I mean? What they meant? We could make some choices with long-term pain that really change things, or we could get it right. The decisions will affect the kind and quality of life on this incredible oasis we call planet Earth. It's our spacecraft that we're on, and it is one heck of a nice day on this spacecraft today in the middle of the Midwest. That's enough. What used to be thought to be gravitropism, in other words, how gravity affects the direction of root growth, is largely taken over by the light and effect. And nobody thought that could happen until we took away gravity. They thought it was all gravity receptors because of the statoliths inside the cell of the plant cell, which are little rocks that go to the bottom. They thought those triggered the direction of root growth. They found out they don't. They float around in the middle of the cell. The statoliths don't direct the root. It's so obvious they would, isn't it? You got rocks in a cell that are free floating. They got to be the gravity sensor. And it turns out when you take them out of gravity, they override the sensor. This is almost what the human body does, tilt translation, reinterpretation. Your whole neural system changes in using its plasticity capacity to reinterpret the inertial gravitational signals into becoming, that's why you're sick the first few days in space, because what you're seeing and feeling does not match your inertial sensor system and gravitational sensor system. Your body thinks, this is my way of thinking about it, the only way this could be happening is if I'm poisoned, so I better get sick and throw up and get this poison out. Until you get used to it, your brain reinterprets the inner ear signals, the utricle and statolith signals. Said that a little wrong. The hair cell signals, and it reinterprets without the gravity field to be now correct, so that what your eyes see and what your inner ears feel and what your sensory system of your joint positions tell you starts to agree again, and you get well. You're not sick anymore. You quit throwing up. Next question, please. Yes.
After you've been in space for months, could you describe what it's like to come back to gravity?
Coming back to gravity, I thought I wrecked my life. My watch felt like a bowling ball. Couldn't walk straight. Couldn't play handball. By the way, John Young, who was Gus's office mate and my office mate, well, in a different period, but he overlapped us. I play handball a lot, and Gus learned handball at the co-rec here at Purdue. John Young said in the gym one day, I haven't heard anybody cuss in that court since Gus, like you do, since Gus Grissom. Is that cool? I was just at the Gus Grissom house yesterday with his nephew and started remembering things like that. It's okay if I reminisce with you, isn't it? I want to tell you one final little story. Yes, please. Yes, take your time. Uh-huh. So it was, I learned how to not make it happen. You learn strategies, which basically means don't tilt your head much. Don't move your head inertially too much for the first day. You know, the first time you're in space, you're, oh, holy cow, I can go upside down, you do it, you pray. I shouldn't have done that. You know, so you kind of learn to hold it, and you learn to take the medication. Instead of being the hard ass that won't take the medication, I'm going to go feel it, I want to know what space is like. Forget what space is like the first day. Take the promethazine. You feel much, much better. The stuff works. Compazine is the generic name, or the trade name. Promethazine is the generic name. Where were we? Oh, I was going to tell you one last story. Unless someone has, if you will, I'll do a question instead. So this is a good one for Landon. How old are you again? 8. I was your age during Gemini. Do you know what Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo are, those 3 programs? That's how we got to the moon. You do know we went to the moon, right? And it took about 10 years, and it took Mercury to send 1 person into space, and then it took Gemini to send 2 people, then it took Apollo to send 3 people out all the way to the moon and back. That was our sequence, learning each step, how to do it. There's got to be a reason I'm talking about this. Oh, yeah. So I would watch on TV, and some of you will remember Walter Cronkite. And he'd sit with an astronaut, and he'd have models and a chalkboard instead of these things that actually erased when you erased it, and the chalk always worked every single time. I mean, we are really moving backwards in some areas. I insisted at NASA, get me a chalkboard, and they put one of those, and I go, get it out. I am not messing with these pens anymore. Anyway, something instinctually beautiful about the chalkboard. Anyway, there's got to be a reason I'm saying this. Yes, there is. Watching Walter Cronkite, they'd have it on for 3 days, essentially, before every launch, and we'd hang behind those black and white TVs on every word that they were saying and showing. Do you remember that? I can tell you remember exactly that. And I would sit there in front of that TV going, I can do that. I know I can do that. I know you probably did the same thing, Jocelyn, right? And you did too. 40 years goes by. Things happen in 40 years. And I'm a rather senior astronaut at this point. I'm sitting at my desk, and we've brought John Glenn back to fly in the shuttle at an older age. And I'm sitting at my desk, and the phone rings, and it's the Public Affairs office. And they say, Dave, you know, we got John Young, that's my office mate. John Glenn, thank you, up all night. John Glenn flying on the shuttle in the week after next. We've got Walter Cronkite coming back to do the commentary. Would you sit with him and do it? Can you believe that? Can you believe that? I go, yes, I will do that. And one of these pictures is actually of that. It may have already gone by. I don't know. Did it go by? I can just sit with those guys. And it was just a very cool closing of the loop. And you young people, Landon, Sam, what was it again? I knew that. Max, you've got all kinds of these circles in front of you ready to happen. And all you've got to do is enable it. you know, you can't make everything happen, but you can let an awful lot happen and make some of it happen and find that right balance, and you've got an awesome life ahead of you. That's a good place to stop, I think. It's an awesome day on earth. Thank you. It's been an honor to be with you. Thank you very much.